You're standing on the tarmac, the wind biting through your jacket, the sky a bruised and sullen slate. Jet engines whine somewhere in the distance, their echo lost in the churning gray above. You know the story of Flight 427 only from the charred remains and the battered headlines, the whispers traded between trembling hands and sleepless eyes. But the truth, what really happened in those final moments, has always eluded the world's grasp, until now. The black box arrives in a plain brown envelope, its surface smooth, almost slick, as if it's sweating. The official tag dangles from a thin wire, stained with something that isn't oil. You're told not to listen alone, but curiosity is a hunger that can't be starved. You lock the door, draw the curtains, and settle in with trembling fingers. The audio file clicks open, a faint hiss, like breath held underwater, and you begin to listen. At first, it's almost mundane. The captain's voice is steady, tinged with fatigue, reciting coordinates, altitudes, numbers that mean nothing to anyone grounded in the here and now. The co-pilot laughs softly at a private joke, something about turbulence and coffee. You hear the shuffling of charts, the muted beep of instruments, the gentle hum of humanity trapped in a metal tube hurtling through the night. Outside, a storm is waking. Distant thunder, low and mournful, like a memory of something lost. The rain lashes at the fuselage in frantic, arrhythmic bursts, each drop a tiny fist pounding for entry. The passengers are quiet. No babies crying, no coughs or restless shifting, only the faint communal hush of people pretending not to be afraid. Then a flicker in the audio. The lights in your room seem to dim, just a little. You lean closer. The captain's voice returns, clipped now, anxious, as he calls to ground control. Something's wrong, he says. The instruments are lying. The altitude doesn't match the horizon. The stars are all gone. The static rises. It crackles like bones breaking in the dark. The co-pilot murmurs, his voice thick, almost drugged. Did you feel that? Like we dropped. He trails off. The captain swears quietly. Another voice, faint, barely more than a vibration in the static. Not the crew, not the passengers, something else. It's laughter, but it isn't human. A child's giggle, twisted, played backward, echoing from a sealed cargo hold. You pause the recording. The room is too quiet, the air too still. Your own breath fogs the window, but outside, the night presses in, dense and watchful. You hit play again. The plane begins to descend, but not in any way that makes sense. The altimeter spins, the engine whines, and the metal groans as if it's being squeezed by invisible hands. The captain is shouting now, but every word is swallowed by the rising static, his panic rendered meaningless against the void. And then, silence. Not the comforting hush of sleep, but the suffocating absence of all things. No voices, no beeping, no rain. Just the hollow pulse of emptiness. A new sound creeps in, a whisper, so faint you might mistake it for your own thoughts. It says your name, not the crew's, not the passengers, yours. You rewind, heart pounding, but the whisper is gone, replaced by the mechanical drone of the cockpit. The static returns, louder this time, a swarm of unseen insects crawling beneath your skin. The captain gasps, the co-pilot sobs, but mingled with their fear is another sound, a scraping, as if something is clawing at the door to the cockpit, desperate to be let in. You imagine pale fingers, nails cracked and bleeding, dragging along the metal. You imagine eyes, wild and unblinking, pressed against the porthole, staring directly at you. The black box records everything. Sounds that shouldn't be there. Words that no one remembers saying. A lullaby, hummed off key, drifting down the aisle. Go to sleep, little one. Go to sleep. Don't run. Over and over, until the melody fractures, the notes collapsing into themselves, devoured by the static. The plane is falling now. You can feel it, even though you're miles away, decades removed. Gravity claws at your insides, your stomach twisting with dread. The captain prays. The co-pilot begs. But the thing at the door only laughs. And then the scream. It's not the scream of a person, not really. It's too loud, too raw, layered with 1,000 other voices. Some pleading, some jeering, some whispering secrets your mind recoils from, even as it aches to understand. The scream vibrates through the black box, through the speakers, through your bones. It rattles the windows, makes the shadows in the corners twitch and curl. But it's not over. Because as the scream fades, replaced by the shuddering groan of metal tearing itself apart, another voice emerges. Calm, cold, familiar. Your voice speaking a single word. Listen. You freeze. Goosebumps race up your arms. You didn't say anything. You haven't spoken since the recording began. But there it is, unmistakable, woven into the final moments of Flight 427. And then, nothing. A long, aching silence, as if the world itself has stopped breathing. You sit in the dark, the weight of the recording pressing against your chest. You try to rationalize it. An audio glitch, a trick of the mind, a prank. But you know the truth. You heard your own voice in the black box, echoing across time and distance, whispering from the heart of the storm. You check the time. Hours have passed. The storm outside has moved on, but the quiet in your room is heavy, unnatural. You replay the recording, searching for answers, for proof that you imagined it, but the audio has changed. The captain's voice is gone, the co-pilot's laughter erased. Only the static remains, and beneath it, the faintest hint of a scream, looping endlessly, growing louder each time you listen. You try to sleep, but every time you close your eyes, you see the cabin of Flight 427. The overhead lights flicker, casting shadows that move on their own. The windows are black, reflecting not your face, but something behind you, something smiling, its mouth too wide, its eyes too deep. You wake to the sound of knocking, 3 short raps, then silence. You wait, heart hammering, but no one is there. Only the recording, still playing, still screaming. Days pass. You tell yourself it's just a story, a myth spun from tragedy and grief. But at night, you hear voices in the static. The same lullaby, the same laughter. Sometimes, when you're on a crowded train or walking home in the rain, you catch a glimpse of someone watching you. A flight attendant with hollow eyes, a child clutching a broken toy, a pilot with blood on his hands. And always, always the scream. It lives in the hum of the refrigerator, the whine of the wind, the silence between heartbeats. You can't escape it. You can't forget. You become obsessed. You hunt down news clippings, survivor accounts, conspiracy theories. The official story is simple. Mechanical failure, pilot error, a tragedy with no survivors. But in the margins, in the footnotes, and the late-night forums, you find hints of something darker. Reports of strange lights on the radar, of passengers who weren't on the manifest, of voices heard in the wreckage days after the crash. The black box was recovered from a crater of scorched earth, its casing warped, its contents corrupted. The technician who first listened to the recording vanished a week later. His apartment was found empty, the windows nailed shut, the radio still playing static. You start to notice changes in yourself. Shadows linger longer in your periphery. Mirrors reflect rooms you don't remember. Your phone rings at odd hours, but when you answer, there's only static, and beneath it, the echo of your own scream. You try to destroy the black box. You burn it, bury it, drown it. But each morning it returns, sitting on your bedside table, slick with cold sweat, waiting. One night, you dream you're on the plane. The seats are full, but everyone keeps their faces turned away. The engines roar, the lights flicker, and outside, the sky is an endless, churning void. You walk down the aisle, your footsteps muffled by carpet stained with something dark. At the end of the plane, the door to the cockpit stands open, beckoning. You step inside. The captain is gone. The co-pilot's chair is empty. Only the black box remains, pulsing with a sickly red light. You reach for it, and as your fingers close around the smooth, sweating surface, the scream erupts, so loud, so pure, it shatters the dream, drags you gasping back to your bed. But the sound doesn't stop. It echoes in your skull, in the marrow of your bones. You realize, with a sickening clarity, that the scream isn't coming from the recording anymore. It's coming from you. Days blur into nights. The borders between dreams and waking dissolve. You see the faces of the passengers everywhere, on television in crowds, reflected in puddles and glass. They are waiting. They are watching. They are screaming. and you are screaming with them. One evening, you find yourself on the tarmac again. The wind colder than you remember, the sky pressed low and heavy. The airport is empty, silent but for the distant wail of a siren. You follow the sound, drawn by a force you can't name, until you find yourself before the wreck of Flight 427. The fuselage is twisted, blackened, the windows dark, but as you approach, you see something moving inside, shapes shifting in the gloom. The door creaks open, and a voice calls your name. You step aboard. The air is thick with static, with smoke, with the copper tang of blood. The aisle stretches endlessly, passengers frozen in their seats, eyes wide, mouths open in a silent chorus. At the far end, the black box waits, its light pulsing, its surface slick. You reach out, the scream rises, drowning everything, tearing the world apart. And then silence. You wake up, heart pounding, sweat cold on your skin. The black box sits on your bedside table, the red light blinking in time with your pulse. You tell yourself it's just a dream, just a story. But as you listen, you hear the lullaby again, soft and broken, threading through the static. Go to sleep, little one. Go to sleep, don't run. You try to turn away, but the scream is inside you now. It will never leave. It will never let you forget. And in the darkness, in the spaces between breaths, you realize you are no longer alone. The passengers of Flight 427 are with you, always watching, always waiting, forever screaming. And somewhere in the static, your own voice whispers, listen. You close your eyes, the black box hums, the scream begins anew. And you know, with a dread that chills your soul, that it will never end.